Do you believe in the existence of extraterrestrials?
Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Friday, June 27th, 2025. Wow, where has the first half of the year gone? Where has Disclosure gone? Well, it's gotten really interesting. We had a great show planned today to talk about the UAP caucus getting blocked, but it was stopped. The press is everybody. We've got better things to talk about on that note. Let me go ahead and welcome in our audience. Who do we have out there in the chat right now? Let's take a look and welcome all of yous in. Who do we have out there? We have Ann Joanne AK's here. Mr. Anonymous Rex coming to us all the way from Oregon. Good to see you, my friend. Banana Bowie's here along with Brian Pemble. Brains, Conniving Bones. We got Dr. Julie and Eric Roth and the Gurus. Carl Joe Garrison just popped up. Good to see you, Carl. Evan B's here along with Fink Ployd. The Firestarters here along with Firefly. Frank Cathell. Geraldine's here along with Gray Jedi. We got Gundam, Disclosure, Jeff Pearson, Kathy. Kelly Broughton, those piercing blue eyes. I know she's not in the chat, but she was earlier. So who else do we have there? We have Maritime Unprepared. Megan Betts. Michael Dymock is here. Good to see you, Mr. Grimlock. Mr. X is also here, along with Nance Brown, Nancy K, and Niles Guy. He is our resident pit bull, so you better behave, everybody in the chat. PC Anderson's here, along with Peggy in her South Florida, France. Peggy, we love you, my dear lady. Thanks for coming in. We got Roni Deal here, along with Ross Colt. Good to see you, Ross. Sage Pup Sam. Shelley Montgomery's in the audience, as always. Who else we have there? We got Silent Fallujah. Super Unknown. Tech Money's here along with Time Traveling Schizophrenic. We got Truck and Paw Paw, Tube Seeker, Two Head 666, and from the great state of Idaho, we've got Two Midgets on a Horse, Vern Dude, Yellow Tommy Tanker, also known as Andy. How about that? Wow. Big audience today. Wow. Would you look at that? Well, yes, we've got an interesting topic. Like I said, something changed on the way to the frickin' show tonight. Interesting news clip came out from Redacted, I believe, or is it Rebel? It's actually the Rebellion is what they're calling it right now. A interview with Eric Burleson coming out and talking about our favorite topic. Mike, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, it's definitely one of my favorite topics.
Oh, we love talking about those mummies, don't we?
God, no.
No?
I'm not a fan. No, sir.
Well, she's a fan. Not.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Oh.
The erection killer is back. Thanks for that.
Yeah, well, it works. Unfortunately, it's not working for Moose because Mocha's going for heat and nothing will stop that little guy down. Funny seeing a little Chihuahua-sized dog going after a husky.
Just let them look at Gough's picture. It'll calm things down.
You know what? I think I should try that, my friend. It might work.
You never know.
You never know.
It's a good cock blocker, that's for sure.
Oh, God, yeah. All right, so let's get to this. Let me go ahead and bring up today's story. It only gets better from here, my friends. Where are we at? Oh, yeah, here we go. Coming to us live, AVM, if you're out there, thank you for letting us all know about this and grabbing this. Great to see you're not taking a stretched picture and sharing it out on YouTube for everyone. I appreciate that. So, straight from AVM, a little bit earlier before the show, Representative Eric Burleson saying David Grush recommended me to go and see the alien mummies of Peru because some of them had physiology similar to what he has seen in classified briefings. Some mummies are fake, of course, but not all of them. On that note, let me go ahead and play this clip here. It's 48 seconds. Let's go ahead and watch it and see where it takes us. Do you believe or not?
Fair use. Yeah.
Oh, this is 48 seconds. We should be fine. Here we go. But thanks for the reminder. Oh, yeah, that's working. Perfect. Mm-hmm. Oh, shit, hold on. Audience is not hearing sound. Oh, of course they're not hearing sound. Son of a bitch. Let me start that over again. Thank you, audience. I appreciate that. Here we go. One more time.
At the end of the day, I was there to see that. Also, we had reports that there was mummies that were found in Peru that were alien mummies. And whenever I spoke with David Grush, who was the whistleblower from the Pentagon that studied this stuff, I was actually probably not going to go because I thought that there's no way that that's real. And he recommended that I do because he said that based on the physiology of what he's seen in some of these mummies, not all of them, some of them are faked, but some of the mummies that exist in Peru, that based on the physiology, they are congruent with what he has seen in briefings in his former role.
Wow, wow, wow. So not all of them are real, Mike, but some of them are. And it matches what he has seen in his briefings.
Yeah. Didn't we look at a photo op with Representative Burleson the other day and Dr. Stephen Greer with the same mummies?
Yeah. Let me get to it right now. You mean this one that I used for the title card?
Yes, that one.
I don't have the one where they're sitting next to each other, but they're not holding hands in the audience. That one we did show as well, but this was one of the ones, you know, what just floors me on this one, Mike, is the overall expression of Eric Burleson here. Yeah, about says it all. So there's been a lot of fakeness coming out. Anything that's tied to Jaime Maussan is likely not true, but at least there's a bunch of these that have come out that aren't necessarily assigned to Jaime. Now, one of the things that goes along with these, I mean, I mentioned this earlier, some of the mummies we have, or they have, the hands and the bones are all mixed up, and some are one way, the other ones, the bones are turned around in the wrong orientation, and clearly they're fake. But on some of the ones, Geraldine D'Orazio brings up and says about, yes, the CAT scans. Yeah, there's been some CAT scans out there, and the muscle tissue, the connective tissue that's hooked up to the bones, all the stuff that's in there, from a guy who's had too many MRIs and CAT scans to count, dealing with my neck and lower back and different parts of my wrist, different parts of my body throughout my life. I've seen a bunch of those, and those are definitely interesting. Now, some Firefly, they're calling them out as llama bones. I would not deny that. But some of them are just they're beyond. Sometimes you get something that's really good, but it's so good that it's a fake. These things are beyond good. They're at a point where some of the CAT scans, let's see, I think they've got two of them that they've shared that are actually, you know, they're really, really good. And I know this is something that a lot of people in our audience, something I haven't, been a believer on, because there's just so much BS that's aligned to it. But sometimes it's just, you can't ignore the evidence too long, and you just can't be a debunker and just be a debunker to be a debunker. If evidence comes out and it shows that something is there, you need to get out of the middle and go someplace, because
if there's actual evidence, we'll review it. Never said we wouldn't. But anytime Jaime Maussan or Dr. Stephen Greer are involved, it's questionable, to say the least.
There's
That's my take on it.
You deal with both of those guys.
Uh-huh.
Roll 2 10-sided dice. See if you get 00. That's about the only chance. You'll have a 1% chance, or 10 less than, let's call it 1%, 10% chance, whatever. Actually, no, that would be 91. 1% chance that it could be real. And this in this particular instance has a high level of probability that it's real. Now, the Boogosphere thing, that's about as fake as you can possibly get it.
But if there's anything real to these mummies, all they have to do is genetic testing and be able to establish it's anomalous. And I haven't seen that. And
they have had some genetic testing. We just haven't covered it. So maybe we have to go back and look at the test. We'll have to bring up the viewers, the DICOM viewers, I think it's called. Not DICOM. There's a viewer that you have that you can use for going ahead and viewing CAT scans. I used to run one of those a long time ago, and I was looking at that and looking at MRIs, dealing with a trashed out neck and all that kind of stuff. So I'm familiar with it. I think it is called DICOM viewer back in the days. But either way, we can go ahead and bring up the CAT scans here and go over it. But there's a couple of them that there's no way it could be created. And I'm pretty picky when it comes to things and jumping on board with stuff. But sometimes you just have to look at it and say, there's something there. There's something to it. There's something more that's there. Yes, that Todd T. Burlison's caught between a couple grifters there and then some.
I agree. That's a good statement.
There's a great thread I was reading about the Boogospheres and people pointing out issue after issue after issue with it. The biggest thing you can go ahead and take a look at with it is right after the sphere was initially found, there was a video that they took when they were weighing the sphere, right? Showing how much the thing weighed. When they took that video, all the designs and decorations that look like a microchip that's on the top of the actual sphere that actually looks like a piece of clipboard I saw the other day, that design was not on there. So why is the visual appearance of this thing changing the more they're taking it around? It just, that in my perspective, just goes to say, okay, they found something, they weren't done decorating it, they want to make it more believable, so they keep on adding stuff to it.
Yeah, it's being modified, which means they're playing around with it, which is not a good sign.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Never. It's never a good sign, Mike.
I know.
If we can, Alice in the back has her hand up. Go ahead, Alice.
Yeah, I looked into the mummies, and there are 3 sizes. And one of the smaller sizes is a female that they did a CAT scan of. She has eggs inside of her, and you can see the fetus inside the egg. Yeah. So, I mean, how that's... I was just going to suggest that we bring the pictures on and take a look at them. You're really good at figuring that stuff out.
Yeah, absolutely. Daryl, go ahead.
How would you know what you're looking at is really a scan of one of the mummies?
You wouldn't until it's verified, validated.
Okay, how can you tell? When you go ahead and look at the composite of the scan, you can see the overall object that's there, and then you can start going down layer by layer by layer through the particular object. So what they're showing and what they have the CTs of clearly represents something that's, from my perspective of looking at this, I'm just going to say a lot of them are fake based on x-rays and different things that were taken, but some of them used to be some kind of a living entity that we're just not aware of what it was.
I guess this is my healthcare background coming out. When you need chain of custody on things, it's just really hard. I mean, I guess you just have to take it for granted that what you're looking at is what they say you're looking at. Yeah.
I mean, if you're seeing the attachment points of ligaments going to the bones, and you see the different muscle tissue and different things that are there, it doesn't look like something that anybody could have possibly, put together. And that's all right. As things comes out and further goes on, it just shows whether you believe it or not. You can stay in the middle if you want to say it isn't real, that's fine. But I was in the middle for the longest time. But, Grush coming out and saying, go down there and look at this stuff because it aligns to what, some of the stuff that I've seen in briefings before. It gives it a higher level of credibility.
But I agree with Daryl. A chain of custody is key to any type of evidence that you're going to be going over. And any chain of custody involving these mummies is a nightmare.
But chain of custody aside of things from Mike, the evidence that's shown in the CTs, which we'll bring out, I don't have the software down here, and I don't have the data down here. It looks It doesn't look fake to me. And I'm not a skeptical person, but I'm a person who doesn't jump on and believe anything. It's not like we're dealing with stuff like we've got all the other UFO channels out there covering every single thing that goes on, jumping up and down, saying they're all real. Same with the Boogosphere. No, we're trying to keep this thing a bit more contained than going down the road of going down the road of classic ufology, which seems to be taking over the world of YouTube these days. People like more of the Ripley's believe it or not approach, it seems.
Yeah, but that's not us. So we stick to the facts and try to follow the evidence wherever it may go, good or bad.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Sergeant Daniel has his hand up.
Go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that, sometimes, I understand that Stephen Greer has been caught, doing some shit.
Oh, God.
But
there are things that I cannot talk about that I heard in conversations back when Robin was around. We were talking to someone on the phone about some activities that Stephen Greer was potentially doing that no one would like. But
what I understand is there's other people involved here. There's other scientists that came from America that took samples of stuff and taken the pictures and looked at them. There's a lot of other people involved. So I just say, as far as Stephen Greer goes, just pretend he's not there. I just listen to the evidence. That's all I would say. And if if there's something there, then there's something there, and then we have something to stand on. As far as disclosure goes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's big. It's really big if it's true. So nobody wants to put all their eggs in one basket. But I say just because Stephen Greer is there, I mean, he can't be wrong. He can't be wrong all the time. I mean, I know you probably think he can, but I don't think he can be wrong all the time. And he's probably just hitching
okay.
else's.
Stephen Greer was a different guy like 10, 12 years ago compared to where he is now. I mean, he was there at the first UFO Congress that was held in D.C. years ago. There was some stuff that went on. But since then, there was a lot of questionable events like the drone, what do you call it? Not the drones, the flares that were dropped down in Florida, and a lot of other stuff. The pay-for-play disclosure that he deals with. Come on to my house and you can have a wonderful dinner for $5,000, for $5K more, whatever it was. We can go for a walk and talk about things personally. There's just... That's an exaggeration, but he's someone who's very heavily grifted into disclosure. I think it's safe to say, right, Mike?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, he's known for being a grifter in this community. It's a money grab. Yeah. And there's a few people out there as well. But look, we're not here to discuss his character. It has to do with whatever evidence is going to be presented. And if, in fact, that evidence can be verified, and we'll see where it goes.
And I wouldn't bring forward anything on the show that Stephen Greer is brought, because, come on, Greer is also the guy that said anything we're seeing in the sky, none of it is from the non-human intelligence, whether it's from an extraterrestrial or interdimensional being. It's all from the United States government. And I don't buy that shit.
Any NHI are here to save us. They are our friends, our buddies.
Oh, hell no.
That's his narrative, and I don't agree with that. Neither does Thomas. So there's a lot of questionable things in regards to both Jaime Maussan, who's also at the center of these mummies, and Dr. Stephen Greer. But we're not going to discuss their character or their misadventures over the years. We're just going to see where the evidence goes, and right now, my position is it's questionable until proven otherwise.
Cool. So that gives me some homework to do, Mike. I will go ahead. I will bring down the latest. I think it's called a DICOM viewer. And I think it's kind of the diamond, whatever it is, the mines that these things came out of. But anyway, there's a viewer that's out there. There's a website that has all the CT scan files that I've looked at on the website. I'll go ahead and download the files, bring up the viewer, and we'll do a deep dive into it.
We can. On future shows. That'll be something to look forward to. Meanwhile, our good friend, Gene Sticco, the author of the book Engineering Infinity, has joined us, and he has his hand raised. Good to see you tonight, Gene. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. So I had a question, something you said earlier, that some were real, some were fake. So my question is, are they all from the same source? And
No.
Okay, so there's fake ones.
There's multiple people that have gone out there to try and find these things and bringing them forward. It's the, what do you call it? I was mentioned. It's the Peruvian Ministry of something. And they're pretty, they were really pissed when some of these things got taken out of the country, and they've been trying to get everything back to keep it within their control because they don't want this stuff. Okay, it's the Ministry of Culture.
Mm. Yeah, I was just wondering because just the way it was framed, I was like, well, if they've got real ones, why the hell they need fake ones? But it's different people faking them, then that makes more sense.
Fake ones, like real ones, can be sold.
Yeah.
It's all about the money, isn't it?
Ultimately,
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Not
Absolutely.
about science, technology, and the truth.
Oh, yeah.
Which is what we push for here on the show. So that's our position.
Right. Now, I think the mummies that they had, the ones where they were in like it was not quite a T pose, where they had their arms going straight down, had their legs going straight down, those, beyond a doubt, were fake. Now, I've got an image here. I'm not sure which one this is. This one, I believe, is one of the ones that is probably real, but we'll get into it. Here we go. So I think that may be one of the ones, and there's another one that they have where they have the CT of, and we'll get into those down the road.
Yeah. I'd like to see if they did additional scientific testing.
Now, there has been DNA
DNA
testing done on some of these, and I think they actually found, and I'll find the results on that, we'll bring it forward, that I believe there was like a 30% of the human DNA was actually present in the one that they did the tests on. And that's not a lot because mice and pigs have a lot of DNA that's in common with the human species as well. You know what?
Yeah. Wow.
You know what this is a great opportunity to do? Let's ask the audience. See what they think. What do you think, Mike? Let's do a poll. Let's say some of the Peru mummies are real. Just yes or no. I'm not going to get any better than that. Let me go ahead and get that thing started. Let me get the sound effects up, and I'll let the audience decide and see where our audience takes us. Here we go. Yeah, I suppose we got sound effects going. I don't hear them. Let's see where our audience is taking us right now. Oh, wow, this is interesting. Very interesting. Let me make it bigger so everyone can see what the hell we're looking at here. All right, let's go to guest top. Here we go. Would you look at this, Mike? Out of the gate, we have 69% of our 70% of our audience right now is saying yes, some of the Peruvian mummies are indeed real. Hey, Google, wherever you're at, set a timer for 1 minute, please.
Got it. 1 minute. That's starting now.
Thank you much. There we go. I've got that so I can see it turn off. All right, so come on, folks. Let's go ahead and see where we're at. You got 1 minute to go ahead and vote. We're up to 72% of our audience is saying yes, they are real. If you don't think they're real, join the chat and vote. And if you do think they're real, join the chat and vote. Our chat, we're up to 89 votes now. Let's see if we can get this up to 100. We just need 11 more votes in the next 34 seconds. Let's see where it will take us. Come on, folks. Get up there and vote. 93 votes coming in, holding at 91, holding at 72%, up to 94 votes. It's holding at 73%, saying yes. 99 votes in. We're almost there. 19 seconds left. There we go. 100 votes. 74% of our audience is saying yes, they think these things are real. So 10 seconds left. Here we go. Take it down. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. And the poll. Let me take a screenshot of that really quick for posterity and stop the timer. Let's end the poll and let's bring it back. Well, here you go, Mike. Our audience has spoken, and sometimes I agree with the audience, sometimes I don't, but I usually go ahead and go along with the audience as the host of the show because they're like the honorary person in the back here who does not have a voice, although they could have a voice if they wanted to have it.
Yeah, I seem to be on the side of the 26%. that did not agree with it and said they're not real.
Right.
Until proven otherwise, that's my position with
That's fine.
with 26% as well.
You know, we're talking about stuff, and a lot of times with disclosure, the hardest thing with ufology and disclosure for that point, there's a lot of, trust me, bro, I've got these amazing claims, these things that we're saying, right? But there's no real hard evidence to back it up, at least in the case of a couple of the mummies that could be real for what's going on. We got Grush piping up and saying, hey, go check this out because it looks like some of the stuff that I've seen before. Not all of it, but some of it. For me, that kind of lifts it up a bit more. The CAT scans that came out, for me, that moved it up a bit more too. But Mike, everyone's willing to have their opinion, and I'm glad you've got yours.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you represent part of our audience.
I do. So I'm on the minority side right now, but
yeah,
we'll have to wait and see how ultimately this turns out in the end.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. We'll
absolutely. Now, one more thing. It looks like we do have a friend of ours in the back with his hand up, Brian Pemble. What say you? Well, actually, before we get to that, AVM is bringing up Dr. Let me turn off the auto chat here for a second. I want to cover this. Dr. Dr. John McDowell is a leading forensic expert in the world, has studied the OG mummies and said they are real and are non-human. I will believe his expertise in forensics any day. And I believe I do have a clip here. Where'd it go? From AVM. Let me go ahead and bring up this tweet. Let's go ahead and play this clip here. It was recorded on a mobile phone. It's 55 seconds. Thank you, Avi, for bringing that up. I was waiting for you to show up so I could play this one. Let's play this clip. Again, a leading forensic expert.
Specimens that we've examined, some people are calling them bodies. I'm going to call them specimens. Specimens are real. There are humanoid characteristics, anthropologic findings, osteology, bone analysis, teeth analysis that say that these are human or human-like, the ones that I've evaluated. There are some that are clearly not human. Just let me put it that way. But with everything in science, we investigate it. We try to determine what we're finding in the physical world, and we develop a hypothesis to explain what the physical findings are. And we're certainly at the earliest stages of investigation, and we hope that we're invited to continue.
So there we go. One forensic expert reporting on it. Thank you very much. He is well known for what he does. So there is one forensic expert, Mike, that did go down there to go ahead and talk about that. We'll take his opinion and we'll go ahead and collect all of the different scans, and we'll point out the ones that aren't real. And more importantly, we'll point out the ones that have a high likelihood of potentially being real. Now, Jared Rosenthal just sent a super chat, and he says, as a trained archaeologist, the Nazca mummies looked fake to me, but the evidence says otherwise. Our own biases are the problem.
Well,
good point, Jared.
Bias can be dealt with very quickly by showing actual evidence that supports the theory that they are not of this earth.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
Yeah. Well, we've got someone in the back who wants to support that and who has something to say. Brian Pemble, welcome to the back, my friend.
Hey, Thomas and Mike, good to hear from you. I've been listening a bunch, but been busy with the kids. So I voted yes on this. And there were kind of three things that got me to that point. One was the eggs in Maria. That was the first one that got me interested. And then the just like you, the CAT scans and Dr. John McDowell, who was, I don't know, he was the president of some forensics thing out of the University of Colorado. So, unless that guy's gone off his rocker, it seems like he's been doing some great research. And so it was nice that they invited American scientists in there too, because for some reason, and I'm not calling anybody else out, the American scientist standard seems to be the standard around the world. So that gets me really interested. But I do believe that those first two that were presented in front of the Mexican Senate were probably the fake ones. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Jaime Maussan doing fake stuff all of a sudden gets people interested, and then they give him real stuff. So we need to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah. Great points, my friend. It's just, again, you have to have an open mind and put our bias aside to a degree and look at the facts and what's coming on. Again, when I first heard about this stuff coming out, Brian, I was right there saying, no way in hell. And a lot of the evidence showed that it wasn't real. But as we got on, we got to the real things, there's something there.
Yep, I've been following it decently closely, and I'm slowly on board. I'm probably about 98% now that most of these are real. It's pretty incredible what they do. What I would like to see, and I think most people do, and I don't mean to interrupt you, Thomas, is that I would like to see a dissection of Maria, a live film dissection. I know that would ruin the sample, but that would show everybody once and for all.
Yeah, they done the CT. Why not do an MRI? Knock it up and take it up a notch.
Now, I don't know if they've done any PET scans as well.
They have done CAT scans. And the CAT scans are available to download.
Yes, they are. But what I'm talking about is the PET scans.
Well, PET scan, you have, if that's like looking for cancer, that's where they'll go ahead and inject a sugar molecule that's been injected with radioactive material or some other kind of radioactive material that'll get absorbed within your body. And then after your body has had time to absorb it, they'll go ahead and do a PET scan of the overall body to figure out where all the radiation has accumulated. That's kind of out of the question, considering
that wouldn't do any good. Yeah.
No, it's not. They'd have to just go ahead and do a good old CT, a good old MRI potentially, or maybe some other advanced imaging techniques that we may not know about. There's also another type of X-ray that they've developed that's far superior even to a CT, that uses technology that was developed at CERN. And based on what they said about 10 years ago, that technology should be out there at this point, and I haven't seen it, but allows them to do a full color X-ray like a CT with much higher resolution. And literally you can peel back any layer of anything and see all the details in a much higher resolution 3D model than what anything has been achieved with CTs they have today.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. That sounds really good. The only issue I envision with the MRI as well, and I don't know, perhaps somebody in the chat knows better than me, is that little osmium plate that's embedded in your chest.
There's only one of the one with the osmium plate in the chest, that's a fake one, I think, because that's the one where it's almost, you've got the arms that are like straight down by the body and the legs that go straight down and pop up and everything. And when they looked at the configuration of the bones in the hands, they were all mixed up, meaning one bone was here on this place in this orientation, but on the opposite hand it was there and it was flipped around. And so some are real, and I would probably, maybe you would say, kind of like UFO sightings, a lot of them are fake. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, let's go on to Al. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you stopping and talking about this. Alice, go ahead.
Yeah, I think Ed will like this one. I have a theory that when Adam and Eve were given an apple by a serpent, these mummies have serpent-like skin. I think that it wasn't a serpent, but I think it was early people that were like serpents.
Who said they have serpent-like skin?
Oh, I'll have to look again, but I saw it on written and they were showing the skin.
Okay. I have not heard that.
Yeah.
Plus, they don't look like a serpent. Not even close.
But they have eggs and, and reptilian.
So do chickens.
I'm just telling you my theory.
I know. I got you, my friend. Yeah. Something we'll figure out. Thank you, Alice.
Yeah, that'll help me.
Yeah, exactly. We'll figure that one out. Oh, wow. Who thought something that's talking about UFOs and talking about evidence we're finding could be so controversial? Yeah, Roni Deal said this one. This is one I was talking about. I had seen before. Let me turn off auto on this one here. The DICOM image for the pregnant tridactyl one even shows the fetus to include the umbilical cord. Yes, it does. Yeah, it does. So you see a little cord coming out of it, going into it with the egg and the whole thing. So whatever it is, and yes, thank you, Brian. They are covered with how do you pronounce that, Brian? Diatomaceous earth?
No, it's called a diatomaceous earth, and a lot of people may be familiar with that as a pest control repellent or in their pool filters. Now, one thing that I find interesting on this, maybe beside the topic, diatomaceous earth is not inherently magnetic, but you can add an iron oxide to it to become magnetic. And the only reason I'm bringing that up is because Alice had brought up their skin. So if you can sprinkle them with something that's magnetic and remove the diatomaceous earth and get down to the skin, I think that would be fascinating. That would be a really good way to go.
Yeah.
It depends on how many samples you have. You have to test it on a toe or something first, right?
Yeah. And they can do non-destructive testing for DNA, for tissues and stuff, the same way they do when they're testing for, like, say, prostate cancer. Well, they'll send in a really small needle into there just to go ahead and grab a small amount in a particular area, just to go ahead and be able to pull it back and look at it and figure out what it is. So if the Peruvian Ministry of Antiquities is concerned about these things being destroyed, sometimes you have to do things to prove these objects are real. Just like if they want to discover what's going on, what's under the pyramids, they're going to have to do some digging, right, Brian?
Exactly right. Yeah, you're going to have to get intrusive somehow. So I think that's actually a good point, Thomas. Perhaps, just like we go in through a groin or something like that to get to the heart, perhaps they find the least invasive method first. They try that. I don't think my idea is half horrible to try to. When you look under a microscope of the diatomaceous earth, it's very cleavy, it's very sharp, and so you can add things to it that'll make it magnetic, and then you can pull that off and look at the skin.
Well, hopefully it's not magnetic. Whatever they could do, if they could take the best possible imaging that would be out there, to go ahead and look at the spots in the areas, to go ahead and bring it out. But as they're looking at it, look at the spots where the connective tissue is attached to the muscles and it's attached to the bones and different things. Go ahead and look at it and say, could this thing, look for signs of it being faked, or look for evidence of it being real.
Yep, at some point you're going to have to you're going to start with the minimally invasive procedures first. But you're right, Thomas, eventually you're going to have to get invasive, in my opinion.
Right. And who knows, people say, oh my God, how would they create a UFO with 3 fingers? Who knows what role these particular entities could have had with a non-human intelligence?
Yeah, correct. These could be their biological clone subordinates that didn't have a consciousness,
or like
they're just kind of robotic, right?
Go to the movie E.T. and they're the gardeners.
That's right. They could be the Edward Scissorhands of the UFO group. That's right.
Who knows? We'll figure it out as time goes on, and we'll cover it here on Disclosure tonight. That is absolutely a fact, because you know what? It deserves to be covered, and it's a part of, I guess we look at Disclosure and say it's a part of just bringing out the truth and the cover-ups that have gone on for the longest time that is just unconscionable.
And if I could jump in with one more thing, Thomas, just real quick. I find it very interesting that a Burleson was down there and that David Grush pulled in to go down there because, not necessarily, even though he was at the Boogosphere, but that Grush wanted him to go down there to look at some of these Nazca mummies.
I got to say it really quick. I got to say it, excuse me. Booga, 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 booga.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It would also be nice if Grush came out and made a statement, or Grush came out and did something and said, yes,
Oh, God, don't even go there. Grush, where in the fuck, this is Fuck You Friday, we can say it, where in the fuck is his op-ed? We heard a month and a half ago it was going to be out there any week, right, Mike?
Yeah. He, like a week before the scheduled May 12th hearing that was canceled, he said it should be coming out in a couple of weeks, like 2. and it should have been on or about that time. But that's now, we're almost in July. So it's almost 2 months ago, and we haven't heard anything about it. Nothing.
Has anyone heard Para? Oh, Para, welcome. I forgot to send you the email, Para. Interesting. Para is saying David Grush was rehired, Mike, by the Department of the DOD. Have we heard anything about that anywhere? That's interesting.
No, can he confirm that? Where is he hearing it?
Not sure. Remember, he's the one who was at the Zulu term for a flood or something. Yeah.
I know that Grush is part-time under Burleson as a congressional staffer, and I know he's working on his documentary that's coming up.
Well, it's not a documentary. It's a flick for Apple, and he's a production consultant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's working on a fictional story that they're producing over at Apple Films.
Right. And he's got someone else working along with him on that story, doesn't he? Someone else from the Pentagon, potentially.
Yeah, potentially. We'll see how this shapes up as it moves along. But I haven't heard anything about him being rehired by the Department of Defense. I know that he has been desperately trying to get his SCI clearances restored from the Department of Defense, and they have refused to do that. So
well,
he's not able to appear in a skiff.
Yeah, well, let's take that. Let's say it first. Rumor has it that David Grush has been rehired by the Department of Defense. While we don't have information to corroborate these claims, a person in our audience who seems to know a lot about some really technical stuff about even Gene's Russian UFO stuff is bringing it up. So it's something, Mike, that could be real. Time will tell.
We'll find out. We should have a private conversation with Para after the show and see what he knows. Yeah,
or even just a one-on-one out of the whole thing in the back.
Yeah.
You know, let's see. Yeah. Absolutely. Interesting stuff. Completely. Whistleblower David Grush, clearance reinstated with Rep. Eric Burleson. In my opinion, it could be false. However, it seems that way. Yeah, it does seem that way. But did he didn't get his SCI clearance though, right?
No, he got his TS clearance reinstated, Para. And that's the lowest rung of the ladder, as I'm sure you're aware. His SCI clearance, that the DOD has been blocking the entire time. That wasn't reinstated, to our knowledge, based on what we know.
Right.
So that's been the problem the whole time, and it seems to be an ongoing problem for David Grush. But again, if you join us in the back or we break off into a private meeting, we can talk about this privately.
Oh gosh, absolutely. Now, if I go to this and bring it up. In other stories, most importantly, Mike, our story that was supposed to be our top story tonight until I called you on the phone and said, Mike, are you sitting down yet? The mummies are real, and David Grush says so. So we're going to cover it. Our title card for today's show. What the heck was it? Oh, yeah. Let's bring it. Let's show it. Look, I was actually pretty proud of this one. You know, I'm trying to get away from the same graphics we use all the time. You know, House UAP Caucus blocked. Members kept in the dark. No SAP access. What the heck's up with that?
Oh, you and I have been covering this in D.C. with Congress for a couple of years now.
Oh, I know, but we've had a lot of conversations on this lately.
Oh, we have, because it's a big shit show in Congress, as also Matt Laszlo has been reporting on lately. So this seems to be coming to a head. And this, with Congress, it's a pretty deep rabbit hole, because we have the head of the House Oversight Committee, the chair is James Comer, and he oversees the Secrets Task Force that Representative Lunar and the UAP Caucus are all a part of. But as it turns out, they were blocked from getting access to special access programs within the DoD. And the DoD, the spokesperson is Susan Gough, who we've also been talking about a lot lately, especially with that Wall Street Journal article hit piece that came out that quoted her. The DoD had stated that they were willing to temporarily read members of the task force in on certain SAP programs they were looking into, but it was blocked by Representative James Comer and Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, that felt that the House members in the UAP caucus did not have a need to know to access that information.
Yeah.
So they were blocked, which is what the main story was supposed to be tonight, talking about what's really going on in Congress at this point if one hand doesn't know what the other one is doing.
Right.
And they are blocking them from gaining any actual information to investigate.
Yeah. Well, I do have a 2-minute audio clip coming from Matt Laszlo talking to James Comer. Hopefully the audio, I have it cranked up, is for the audience to go ahead and hear it. Apologize if it's a little difficult to hear because clearly these microphones everybody else has, Matt does not have it, even though I've suggested it to him. Matt, let me help you figure out, even get you what you need to go ahead and take that information you're getting and push it into the stratosphere, because the guy deserves it. He's doing a great job. We just want him to shine. You know how it goes, Mike?
Oh, absolutely.
We love the guy. We love him.
Yeah, he's been on the show before.
Yeah.
He's doing great work down there in D.C. right now, and we just want him to succeed.
Yeah. And he's got a great green thumb that fills his bong, so he should be proud of it. He showed it on the show. So let's get to it. Let's play this audio clip. Let's see where it goes. Here we go.
Look at this young man. How are you? Hey, I think Luna talked to you. Did you hear these accusations? They're saying that group Arrow, the UAP issue, that it was GOP leadership that kept the UAP caucus from seeing SAPs.
It's not me.
Yeah.
I want Luna to have whatever Luna wants.
Yeah.
But everybody's interested in that stuff, you know?
So you did give her a 6-month extension for secrets?
I'm going to do whatever she wants.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty nice.
I know. I try to please Luna. Hard to please sometimes.
What have you thought of the work of the Secrets Task Force? What have you thought of the work of the Secrets Task Force?
Well, it's difficult to get stuff. I told her that when we started. I said, listen,
what is it?
Everybody said, well, you need to demand this. Look, you can demand it all day long. You run into the deep state. The deep state doesn't want, and Trump's cabinet people came in, released JFK files, released the Epstein files. Well, it's still going to take some deep state bureaucrat to do it, you know.
So you don't. Why hasn't the administration been able to ruffle some of that up?
Because they've got they battle hostility, they battle hostile employees.
Yeah,
and that's what, when you bring in outsiders, I don't think they really understand how hostile the deep state is, first of all, you assume that administrations left damning evidence behind.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee that the files weren't destroyed. So that's that. I mean, it's tough, and I told Luna that. She sees that, but she's a bulldog, and she's trying to get it. She's trying to get answers. I think she's the perfect person to do it. She's doing a good job. It's just
I got to say, you got a day job, sir. Appreciate it.
There we go, Mike. He's pushing back and saying, wait, it isn't me. No, that's not it. But do you believe him?
I could tell you that Laszlo doesn't.
No.
As soon as he did this interview.
Oh, there's a follow-up.
Huh?
Yeah, he went and talked to, Jim Himes. And not only was it Comer, he is clearly indicating that the problem was Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, the one who turned down the opportunity for the UAP caucus to have a select committee.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah. It sounds like it's probably Comer and Johnson together, not wanting to, out themselves for what they're doing behind the scenes in the closet, but it's evident.
It is. And Laszlo does not believe a word that Comer had said, and he put that up on his account on X. So he's very clear about it. But yeah, let's play the next clip.
All right, let's get the next clip up here from askapol.com. Remember, if you want to get the news fast and direct, go ahead and go to askapoluaps.com and go ahead and subscribe. It's something we've been subscribing to for a long time, eh, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's right.
Nothing like supporting independent journalism like Andy No, who's been covering the Antifa insurrection that's been going on in Washington State, and more importantly, recently in Oregon. There's a lot of interesting things going on we're going to be covering in the future, Mike.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be something the audience, I think, will be very interested
Well,
in.
it's stuff that the overall lamestream media isn't covering. It's not Democrat or Republican. It's American versus Antifa, which is really interesting. Doesn't matter what party you're in. This is something that's trying to destroy everything of what we have, irrespective of what party gets elected to the presidency.
That's true.
So
let's play this clip.
Let me play this next clip. Let me jump in. Usually about 30 seconds in for the intro from Matt.
Exclusive from your U.S. Capitol. Know who would control access to giving people on oversight access to SAPs or special actions programs? Would that be the speaker?
I think, but I'm not 100% sure that the Committee of Jurisdiction can vote to make that happen. But you'd have to confirm that. Yeah.
But it would be Congress, not the Pentagon.
No. It would be a legislative decision. Yeah. Hi.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to Ask a Poll. Your conduit.
Oh, that wasn't a lot, was it?
No. Obviously.
Yeah. But either way, go ahead.
Did you hear how James Comer was trying to tap dance and cover up the blockage that had occurred that he completely denied and claimed he had no knowledge of whatsoever? He started jumping up and down and telling a song about how, it's the deep state. Oh, there's hostile employees that you can't get around. What kind of horse shit is that? You have a federal government employee who is not happy with something, and they're going to, override the legal right that Congress has for oversight? And there's nothing the chair of the House Oversight Committee could do about it? That's what he was claiming. Now, that's also complete horseshit. So, yeah, that's one of the reasons why Laszlo was not buying a word coming out of Comer's mouth, because it's ridiculous at face value.
Now, don't forget, Mike, that the Speaker of the House, the Minority Speaker of the House, the Majority Leader in the Senate, the Minority Leader in the Senate, it's a gang of 4, not the gang of 8. And only the gang of 4 is briefed on presidential USAPs. And supposedly this is where everything with the UFO program is hidden under the executive branch.
Well, we know when Matthew Brown, the whistleblower that Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp brought out publicly, had spoken to Congress and publicly about the Immaculate Constellation SAP.
Yeah.
That was something that was a presidential SAP.
Right.
That came out from him. So we became aware of that. Also, the problem
but before that, Mike, there was actually admission coming from Kirsten Gillibrand, Democrat from the Senate, who was actually one of the people to sponsor RO. She was the first person to actually drop it that there are presidential USAPs for this stuff.
Yeah, that's right. She did. But that means that the problem for disclosure in the government, Mike Johnson is also well known to be an avid supporter of the current administration, which means he's taking his marching orders right from the top.
So in other words,
And
he's not a Paul Ryan who should have stepped down on his first day in office. Yeah, thank God.
No, it means that if he's actively blocking disclosure, that's coming right from the top.
Yeah.
That's who he answers to, which is a bad sign for us hoping we're going to get any type of disclosure from the White House.
Well, look what our president promised us. We're supposed to have a declassification on JFK. We got that kind of. We got the RFK declassification. Whatever the hell happened to the MLK declassification? Whatever happened to bringing out the truth about 9/11, bringing out the stuff about UFOs? It's like all these other things that went on. We had some initial things they were doing, and all of a sudden, it's like somebody pulled the plug on this organization. What the fuck?
Oh, Jeffrey Epstein was also on the
Oh,
list.
Epstein, yeah. And what do we get out of that? Jack shit.
Nothing. But did you hear again the explanation that Comer was doing when he was tap dancing? He said it could be a hostile employee, it could be the deep state, and then he finished it off by saying, well, they could have deleted all the files and information. Nothing we could do about it. So any of the topics that you just mentioned in regards to what should have been declassified, the next thing that they're going to probably claim is, oh, well, all that information was deleted. We couldn't recover it. And that's just a dodge.
Just like they said all of Lou's emails were deleted, but they really weren't, were they?
No, they weren't.
Yeah.
They moved it to a different server, which is also what they do.
Playing a game of hide the salami, Mike, although there's nothing fun with this one.
No, not with any of it. Yeah. And that's what we've been up against the whole time.
And what we will be continuing to be up against unless something changes, and it doesn't look like that's likely in the near future.
No, it isn't. And obviously, we've talked about on the show that when they formed this new task force and put Lunar in, who is a junior member of Congress, why did they put her and the members of the UAP caucus in to run this task force? It came out from sources within Congress that the people in the chain of command, like Mike Johnson and James Comer, wanted to get the members of the UAP caucus out of the way because they tend to gum up the works of the regular work that Congress does. So they decided to give them this little side project with the task force to keep them out of everybody's hair. And it seems like it's been effective in that regard.
Yeah, it seemed to shut up Tim Burchett.
Oh, it really did. He got real quiet because he realizes at this point that they're not going to get access. There's nothing they can do about it. And they're just given a list of things on the agenda to do that will not accomplish anything, but will keep them busy. So he's remaining quiet about this because it's frustrating. But this is what our government is doing.
Yeah, it seems to be, and it's a game of cat and mouse, and maybe one of these days Tom will get the mouse. We'll get Jerry.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, we sure as hell are trying, so you never know.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You know what? Laszlo has really been doing good work lately.
Yeah, and I missed it, and I forgot about this. We have two people in the back with their hands up. First, go to Laura Campbell, and then Andy. Laura, what say you?
Hi, Thomas. I know you've discussed in the past the fact that there would probably be a hearing again somewhere before the August break in July, sometime, not sure. But have you heard anything about a potential field hearing in Florida in July?
No.
You did. Tell me more.
Mike, what have you heard? Haven't you told me yet?
I could tell you exactly what I heard. Going back a ways, there was a point where
Luna,
after the first hearing, they were getting stonewalled on getting a date. So Representative Anna Paulina Luna publicly had stated that she and Representative Tim Burchett were going to hold in Florida, outside of Eglin Air Force Base, a field hearing.
Because also Matt Gaetz, who was also representative at that time, they were stonewalled after they got some information at Eglin. They went to Eglin and they were completely shut down in their search for information on this based on credible reports that they had for evidence for something that happened. And clearly the way they were shut down, they didn't agree with it. And as for punishment for that, they were going to have a potential field hearing. But Laura, what's come to light from your side?
Oh, nothing. I just thought I heard it mentioned in a podcast last week, and it brought up again. So it made me wonder if they're still going to go after that somehow, or if they let it go and they're just going to have a
Well, here's the thing, Laura. With all the people that have come forward, especially David Grush, and the testimony that the House of Representatives has received, have they actually done jack shit with anything that they've gotten? Have they actually taken something and tried to go after it and do something? Or is it just, oh, that sounds interesting, this is horrible, and then they walk away from it?
It is. I agree. But what it is doing is it's putting a spotlight on it for people that wouldn't ordinarily understand or wonder. It makes other people say, why are they looking at this? What is Congress about? So I think that's helpful. And I wouldn't put it past Luna to pull something out. I really think she's got a lot of chutzpah. So, yeah.
Well, it sounds like she can get Comer down on his hands and knees with an apple in his mouth if she wants it, because he said he would do whatever she wants in a very uncomfortable kind of way.
Yeah, but it was obviously a lie. He was not telling the truth, and he has his own agenda. And him and Mike Johnson are running the show. They're in a position of authority and power. They're not going to give them, meaning Luna and the task force, anything that they don't want them to have.
That's why they didn't give the task force subpoena power, right?
Correct.
But supposedly if Luna would ask for it, he's saying he'd bend over backwards to go ahead and get it, yeah.
He has to say that publicly.
She could potentially go out and get her own information, though, if she wanted some evidence, say a film of something.
Yeah.
Well,
right?
Laura,
yeah.
I got to tell you, when Thomas and I were covering this a long time ago, and she made that statement about the Florida field hearing, I reached out to sources in Congress and asked if it would be possible for her in her position to hold a field hearing on this subject like she had publicly stated. And what I was informed directly was that Congress would never hold a field hearing, that they are officially going to be backing. It would only occur in the halls of Congress in Washington, D.C. And that if the good representative Luna is making a public statement like that, the diplomatic term that was told to me was obviously she is giving some inaccurate information. Unofficially, I was told that she tends to exaggerate and overstate facts, and not to take her seriously, because a lot of the members of Congress don't. They don't take her seriously either. So that was off the record. But when we hear Representative Luna making statements like this, and now that she's heading the task force, she shouldn't be in a position where she would need to make certain inaccurate statements like that. Initially, probably to get the public's attention and maybe try to get some support from the public. But I don't think that's necessary now for her to be trying cheap tactics like that again. So if she did in fact say that recently, I would tell you it's probably not an accurate statement.
Mike, one of the things when the task force was first announced, I said, watch what Luna is saying, because right now it sounds good. And she was making regular tweets, regular updates, couple a day, different things that are going on about the task force. But the further we've gotten along with the task force, the more silent she has been about it. And why is she silent? Is because there's nothing going on. That's the problem. Right. Oh, we're going to cover this at this state. We've got this coming up. We've scheduled these things. Where's the plan, man? Lady, you know, we need something here.
Right. That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem to have a plan. Excuse me.
A plan, an agenda, something to go ahead and say, this is when we plan to accomplish anything. This is our working schedule of what we're going towards. It just seems totally ad hoc and random at this point.
It does, because the task force comes across publicly as very disorganized.
Yep.
And a lot of people have been making comments like that because it's true. And we now know with the story we're covering today on how Comer, who was the boss of the task force, he's lying about not allowing them access on SAP programs and other information because they don't have a need to know.
Right.
Him and Mike Johnson. So this is something that I think she knows. I know Burchett knows that he is being stonewalled. And I think the reason he's so quiet is because there's nothing that could directly be done about it with who's in charge. That's the real problem. So he's been quiet. She hasn't been really moving the needle on this, as you and I have been covering and talking about privately for a long time now.
Yeah.
The task force itself is, it's window dressing. It's not any meat and potatoes that the public can get truth and transparency from. It's just all show and no go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Well, if we can, Andy W. from the United Kingdom, you have your hand up, my friend.
Yeah, hi Thomas. Good to see you back. When you posted the your link to the show for this, and you brought up Comer and Johnson, kind of thought, what's their agenda on this? Johnson seems to have a bit of a link through his funding, I believe, with Lockheed Martin. So, he's potentially being directed, but I've not been able to find out a link of any military or any funding for Comer. So kind of wondering what his agenda is on it.
It's
James Comer?
Yeah.
No, who was the other guy that we had that was shutting it down from the intelligence side?
Mike Turner.
Turner was the one who has links back to the military-industrial complex. Whatever it is, their pocket, the military-industrial complex comes with dump trucks of cash to Congress, probably on a regular basis.
Right. It's been age-old that this has been going on, which is why disclosure has been blocked every step of the way. And until something changes with that, which I don't think that it will. The only exception to that would be what Thomas has pointed out for years now, is that if the government wanted to give actual disclosure to the public and the world, all it would take is the President of the United States to declassify all of the documents that the government has been hiding about this. He could very easily bring the truth out with the swipe of a pen. Right, Thomas?
That's all it would take is an executive order. And if it was stuff coming from within the DOE, he'd have to have the head of the CIA and the head of the DOE, who were all put in place by Trump and avid Trump supporters, to go ahead and sign off as the 2 additional signatures to declassify anything they wanted from the Department of Energy. Because I would say that is probably, besides the presidential USAP, that's probably the most secret place in our United States government as far as knowledge goes, and the ability to go ahead and keep things locked down with no way to get the truth out.
Right. It's disappointing is what it is for us, for the public, for the world, everybody that's been interested and following this topic. No one likes getting jerked around like this. And ultimately, that's what it boils down to in the end. That's the problem with all this.
Oh, God. If we could, Gene Sticko has his hand up. Gene?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to Andy's comments about the, connections with Lockheed and, defense industrial base. And even if you don't find those connections, the one ultimate pin that everybody has is the money they get from the party. And if Mike Johnson or anybody else senior tells the GOP, national committee to not fund a particular candidate down the road, you'll see that you'll see that money dwindle away from them. Their war chest won't get as big, and at least from the national level, and their grassroots efforts will need to pick up to manage any gap there. So they've always got that financial trigger of what the party's going to give them to hold over their head.
But don't forget, there's sometimes a shit ton of money that comes in from the military-industrial complex to go ahead and buy the votes or the decisions that they potentially want to have. Now, coming in from someone by the name of Para, who's NECLI in our prior conversations when you were sharing your book, he came up with an interesting point for you. Has anyone reached out to the professors at MIT about the formula for space-time, which tells matter how to move? Matter tells space-time how to curve. Your guy, is interesting. Did he release the book? Well, he did release his book, except it's available on a PDF reader that's on your website. What is that URL again, Gene?
Yeah, it's engineeringinfinitybook.com.
Right.
Engineeringinfinitybook.com. And from there, there's the PDF reader, the little flip book that you can examine all that. There's additional information throughout the course of the week that I posted as well. I don't know if you've seen, Tom, Mike, I sent you some things on it. We did a deep dive into government programs that exist that are in the public space and, what parts of those programs from a purely scientific standpoint match what was in the book. And we came out, I think the current count now is we're up to like 51, 52 programs, $15 billion over the period of time. And it speaks to some of these other things we're talking about, like the comments of, files might have been deleted and all the rest of it. Well, it's, I think it's so compartmentalized that through the years, all of these agencies, everybody's been given a little bit and piece of the puzzle to work on. And some of it obviously will still remain in SAP programs. Yep. Some of it's out there for the public to digest. And any way you look at it, even with the Wall Street Journal article, and they have crafted an escape hatch every step of the way. Yeah. And that's why I say, in my sort of advocacy pitches to the Congress is somebody's got to go down one of those rabbit holes or a couple of those rabbit holes and for all these programs and see where they're being shared. And, if there's out of 50 of them, if there's 35 of them that go to the Office of Puppies and Clowns, then somebody needs to go knock on the door of the Office of Puppies and Clowns and be like, what the hell is it you exactly doing here?
Exactly. Yeah. Great points, my friend. Mike, I've got something on Richard Dolan I'd like to jump onto.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I said, let's cover the Dolan piece.
All right. Coming to us from Richard Dolan, Intelligent Disclosure. If alien base exists, it implies we are not the dominant species on Earth, but perhaps tolerated and managed. Now, Lou Elizondo has said this many times that we are not the top of the food chain, clearly.
Oh, he has. That's the Samba speech that he said.
Yeah.
We're not the top of the food chain.
Yes. So this means advanced infrastructure, long-term commitment, and deep secrecy are real. Let's go ahead and Richard Dolan does have a clip here. He's posted on Twitter. Let's go ahead and play this. Richard's a friend of the channel. Let's go ahead and play and see what Richard has to say on this. Just show fair use, just in case. Let's go ahead and play this clip. Here we go.
So if UFOs or UAPs are real, and they are operating on or near our planet on a regular basis, which it certainly looks like to me, does it make sense that they're just popping in and out from some faraway star system every time. No, of course not. Of course not. It would make far more sense strategically, operationally, logistically, that they've established some form of infrastructure here. Something hidden and secure, something long-term.
Right, and out of the reach of the stupid humans that like to fling nuclear poo at each other. Go someplace where they'll never be able to get to. Inside the earth, down deep underneath the ocean. That's are the kind of places where they're at. They can get to easily, get away from us, but most importantly, it's a place they can be here long term because, you know, these things have probably been on this planet longer than mankind has been on this planet, which they're estimating is about 300,000 years, give or take. Let's continue.
Why risk repeated interstellar travel if you don't have to? If you're here to observe or experiment or monitor or even harvest, then you want permanence. You want concealment.
You like the harvest word, huh, Mike?
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. Harvest is right. Remember, we're not the top of the food chain, which means we're on the menu.
You would want an anchor point. You would want some kind of base. And if that is true, so if alien bases are real, then the implications are staggering. Because it means this isn't, you know, all of the UFO phenomena is not some series of isolated incidents. It's not just a few glimpses of strange lights in the sky. It would mean that this is an established physical presence operating in secrecy right here on Earth. Which brings us to the big question that's driving this video. What if it's all true? If UFOs are real and of non-human origin, if there are alien bases operating here, then what? So if there really are alien bases, structures maintained here on Earth by a non-human intelligence, then
remember, we've had remote viewers who have gone and seen them up in Alaska, down in Zimbabwe, underneath the ocean in different places, and they have pointed out that, yeah, there are multiple places on Earth besides the moon that they have civilizations, let's call it not just bases, but consider how long they've been here. They have a civilization established on our planet. This isn't just ours. We're sharing it with something bigger and greater.
They're dealing with a situation that radically changes how we should view pretty much everything about our world.
There you go. Interesting clip, eh, Mike? Any thoughts from our audience in the back?
What do you think, Gene, about what Richard said? Does it make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of the things I touched on a little bit, or dove into a little bit, I should say, was that question of UAPs or the submersibles and underwater bases.
USOs, yeah.
USOs. And, you know, and I've gone back and forth the more, you know, educated I got. So the first thing, you know, I think of is my first impression when I dove into it was, well, does it really make sense to have an underwater base for all the same reason Richard just talked about?
Well, just think about it this way really quick, Gene. If we have the world gets turned upside down every 6,000 years and we have a great flood, we have waves a mile high going over, cleaning off the surface, the safest place if you wanted to have a base would literally be under the bottom of the, you know, in the bedrock, under the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. No, and the more, you know, I hear, you know, deeper explanations or deeper thoughts about it, then, you know, yeah, absolutely. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think what goes into, you know, the construction, everything you talked about, the risk factors, all of that just makes good operational sense that you set up somewhere and you keep it quiet. And for as much of the earth as we think we understand, I think any scientist, whether they're, you know, explore the oceans or explore the Amazon, will tell you we don't even touch
No, we know more about the surface of the moon and the surface of Mars than we know about what's on the bottom of our oceans. Now, there is an effort called Seabed 2030 that by that time they want to have high-resolution scans available for the entire planet. Let's see if they hit it, but that's something that there's something down there we haven't looked at, especially when we had our last glaciation stage going on, the snowball Earth. The oceans were a lot lower, so which basically gave more place for the cradle for civilization and other things to be going on that right now we don't see because it's under the water.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mike?
That's exactly right, Thomas. If they are here with us, and we already know they are, they're not going to land in Central Park or in Los Angeles and walk around. They are going to be, this planet is 2/3 water. They're going to be in an area that is not common for us, so that they're not seen and able to conduct whatever they're doing without any interference from us. So it makes perfect sense to me. It's logical. That's what we would do if we had that kind of technology and we were on another planet, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I would think so.
So would I.
Yeah. Now, this may be the video that we've played before of U.S. Space Force General John Olson back from 2023. We was talking about UAPs on the planet. I know there were two statements. This may be the first one, but this one just got brought up back on X again today. So I think I'd like to replay this just because we only have so many times that the U.S. Space Force or the federal or Department of the federal government actually goes out there and admits that there are UAP on this planet and we don't know what the hell it is, and we're working with partners around the world to figure it out. Hopefully this is the clip. If not, we'll get it for next time, but let's go ahead and play this clip because now I got the guy's name again. Make sure I bookmark that, and let's get to this clip here. All right, let's play it. Here we go.
Major General Olson, what do you think about the unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, and UFOs?
Well, this is a very hot topic, and I appreciate the question. I know, admittedly, Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force is quite a mouthful in an acronym. You know, I've gotten that question a couple other times. You know, what do you think about UFOs or aliens? And quite frankly, having flown 83 different airplanes and had lots of hours, we've all seen lots of unexplainable elements. And you know, the cosmos, the space realm is so large. If we look at the Earth, it is this, you know, tiny blue dot in an unlimited, almost incomprehensibly large cosmos. I personally believe that there absolutely, from a probability perspective, is life out there. However, this task force is a very serious U.S. government approach to systematically investigating and understanding these because, of course, unidentified elements present a national security concern, present a safety of flight, present a risk that we must take and diligently pursue. But I think the question is actually more broadly put, and that is we will continue this effort, and in fact, I believe it will be getting more funding and more of a structural support level within the department. But I also believe that this is part of our never-ending quest to learn and understand and explore. And as we have on our probes that have exited the solar system to our probes to the moon, we have gone in peace to explore and discover, and we continue that yearning to see and discover, is there life out there, and what does that mean for humanity?
Okay, this is not the clip I was hoping for, but now I've got his name and I can go ahead and look him up on YouTube and I can find this clip, Mike. Interesting comment. You know, we're going to have to track this guy on, but he has had some great statements in the past.
He has. The problem is, I think they shut him up after he made that statement that you wanted to play. So I don't know if now we would be able to get any type of a straight answer out of him about what he had originally said, but it's worth a shot. You never know.
Okay, I found it. Thanks to
There we go.
over from the Black Vault. toy store. Let's play this clip here. I've got it now. So let's just play this one directly coming from YouTube. Let's go ahead and play this clip and listen to it.
And secondly, off of UAPs, is there any cooperation with allies or partners on the UAP question and probe? Thank you very much.
I think the second part of your question was related to UAP, or unidentified aerial phenomenon, and that UAP task force. And as far as I'm concerned, or am knowledgeable about that, I do believe it does involve collaborative inputs and information exchange with all kinds of countries around the globe, because I think these are not just solely actions or events that have occurred within the confines of the United States. They've occurred globally, and I think we're collecting that information. We're sharing information. We view that as an open and transparent effort and activity through the United States Congress and executed by our UAP Task Force Office. And so I would encourage greater collaboration and cooperation in that. And particularly, I think as we see various technologies that will help demystify or debunk or clarify. But I think it's also important. One of the reasons that we are doing this effort is because national security concerns are of paramount importance, and so is safety of flight and deconfliction and collision avoidance and issues to preserve and protect human life. So when we can better share and exchange information, I think that's better. Much like we do in the International Civil Aviation Organization, or otherwise known as ICAO, or in any other international bodies as well. I think there's a fertile and important opportunity to be pursued there.
There we go. Interesting enough, eh, Mike? Always great to hear the Space Force giving us some truth rather than the bullshit we have coming out from our dear friend Susan Gough, who we can never, ever see enough of, can we?
Oh, God. Oh. So, yeah, I think that one fell through the cracks with that statement that he made. And I think he was warned after that, because it was a very revealing statement that he made, addressing not just us, but other countries around the world, which is exactly what we would expect if disclosure was being taken seriously by our government and they were working together to try to get the truth out. So his statement was very accurate, but it was also a one-shot deal. He got quiet after that, and we never heard anything again after that, unfortunately.
No, that seems to be the case, Mike. Someone I guess, I had her picture up a second ago, but I will bring it out one more time. The beauty queen here, it probably got really pissed off with what they said because she didn't clear them to talk about this stuff, did she? Because all questions regarding UAP are supposed to go through her.
Oh, absolutely. And when he made that statement, she must have called his ass in out on the carpet real fast. That was not a pleasant conversation. I'm sure that she had with him afterwards.
Gotta bring her up because it's the reality of UFO disclosure. What a beautiful woman, man. She should be our new Miss America.
Well, plus she was also a full bird colonel in the military, in the U.S. Army. So she had the rank where I'm sure she really dressed him down for making that statement without her authorization.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Not happy.
You mentioned about a rank. I wonder if that's happened, how you could define how she smells.
Oh, no, I was talking about her military rank.
Oh, okay.
The good colonel. She was a full bird colonel.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure that was not a pleasant conversation.
Yeah.
Which is probably another reason why we haven't heard anything out of him since he made that statement.
No, that was the first and only press conference I've seen that gentleman in, and we miss him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, not Boomhilda, Witchy Poo. More like it.
He might be serving in Alaska right now. You never know if he was transferred.
You never know. Brian Pemble, your hands up, my friend.
So do you think the lovely Susan Gough is holding up David Grush's op-ed?
No, that would be the Doppser process, not necessarily Susan. Susan is the PAO and responds for any questions going to anywhere in the government by anyone with regards to UAP, and it's supposed to go through her. So Doppser.
Where's the ICIG report as well?
Oh, that's been buried.
Yeah.
Not for public. That's not for public discussion.
Yeah.
So, and Brian, the Doppser clearance. Grush got not one but two Doppser clearances to do his op-ed and testify. And we know that because when he did the private meeting in Wall Street Executives here in New York, after he testified, he stated that he had a second op-ed, he had a second Doppser approval to release the op-ed publicly. Mm-hmm. And then he discussed some of what was in that op-ed at that private meeting, which Thomas and I then discussed with the audience afterwards when we found out. So, no, he also recently, about 2 months ago, close to it, that he was going to finally, after nearly 2 years, he was going to now finally release his op-ed officially again. And we never heard anything since then. He said a couple of weeks. That was almost 2 months ago, and not a word since. So he decided that he was either going to release it or not release it, and it seems like he's not releasing it right now. And I have no idea why he even made a public statement that he was intending on doing that if he had no intention on doing that. I can't explain it.
Yeah, this is where he said the craft is bigger on the inside than the outside.
Yes.
Yeah, 40 feet on the outside, but the size of a football field, 300 and some odd feet on the inside. Yeah. It's like a TARDIS from Doctor Who.
Exactly. And he also confirmed that the biologics that the government is in possession of, the bodies, are in fact the great type that have been discussed and described by abductees and their eyewitness statements of the entities they encountered. He confirmed for the first time, yeah, those are in fact the bodies that we're in possession of.
Hey, Mike, run this for a second. Run with this for a second. I'll be right back if you could.
Oh, no problem.
Go ahead.
So, Brian, you were around then. You were here. We talked about this.
Oh,
there was a lot of information that we were waiting for him to come out publicly with. Because if he would have, well, even now, if he would have released his op-ed, we already know what's going to be in there. And there's going to be, I believe, still a few more surprises, like the stuff that Matthew Brown has been dropping breadcrumbs about lately. I have a good feeling that a lot of the information in Grush's op-ed was going to encompass some of that as well. And he came forward all on his own volition. No one put a gun to his head. And he said, I'm going to release it in a couple weeks. Well, that was nearly 2 months ago, and we haven't heard a word about it since. So I have a good feeling. That's probably buried right now, Brian.
Yeah, my question to you is how the Doppser process was played recently. I don't know why I'm forgetting the gentleman's name. I've researched him a bunch. The gentleman with the eggs, real quick. But he would play. He basically played the Doppser process. He would insert correct information and false information, knowing what would get redacted and what wouldn't, and things like that. He starts with a J. But anyways, I wonder if that play led to the Doppser process, or whoever's in control, they're going, whoa, hold on. These guys have figured out blue versus red operations against us. We can't allow the Doppser process to be abused anymore. We're holding off on this.
You're talking about Jake Barber, who
Correct.
had said what he did. I'm familiar with it. What he said is that he attempted, when he separated from service, to try to game the Doppser process, and he did that by submitting knowingly false information, and told them that the whole purpose of it was because he was going to be writing a fictional book that was based on his government service. And what he noticed, because they had been submitting copy after copy to see what was going to be denied, flagged, or approved, he was figuring out the ways around the DOPSA process, and they started to figure out what he was doing. And then they shut it down because they didn't like the fact that he was submitting all of that information so that he could know what he can get away with. At the time when that came out and he spoke publicly about it, that was the first time that I gave him credit for anything of the claims that he has made publicly. Because
and obviously Jake Barber was doing it on purpose, Mike, but do you think he was doing it to expose the DOPSA process so they could correct it before David Grush came out with this stuff? I know this is getting into 3D and 4D and 5D chess. Or do you think he was doing it in an honest fashion? I mean,
honestly, if I can answer that really quick, I would say potentially we have someone who is a little bit ADD, OCD, ADHD, and they're very particular about what they're trying to get out. And for some reason, they're just the way they work. They're just not ready to let it out for whatever reason it might be. Hey, Mike?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that because I qualify in a lot of those different areas. So it just may be that he doesn't think it's ready to go, even though he's promised it, which is just bad practice. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And we're at that twice stage at this point. It just takes away from his overall, hate to say it, his credibility.
Yeah, that's true too.
I love the guy. I love what he stands for and everything. But it comes down to what the fuck why isn't Congress doing anything to chase after any of this, all the freaking thing, all the statements that he made? It just seems like, let's go ahead and ask the DOD. Well, they're shutting us down. Well, do something more.
Well, he also has claimed publicly that he's now working with the DOD and that he is under government contract at Skywatcher to perform the services of, the claims he's made where he could summon a UAP.
Oh, Jake Barber, yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah. That's who we've been talking
about. Well, they claim that they can go ahead and bring down and land a UFO, and they've been doing it. So why do we have things that are way up there in the atmosphere? Because don't forget, in the past, Lou has said, if people realized, what is it again? If they knew how many UFOs are actually flying around in the skies around all of us right now, even around our homes, people would freaking lose it. Right, Mike? That's what he said?
His exact words were, if they could see clearly what the human eyes can't normally see, and they saw the amount of traffic directly above us, they would shit themselves.
Yeah.
But that was a private conversation that we had.
I know.
So, yeah,
it's nothing bad to talk about, but a lot of people talk about the conversations, but it's nothing back then, so.
But Jake Barber has made a lot of claims that he can perform a miracle with this, but he has, as of yet, to establish or provide any proof about it. His recent photos that came out of Skywatcher turned out to be a flock of birds.
Well, some stuff did look like a flock of birds, but if you look at some of the behaviors that were going on, it was kind of like a flock of birds, but it wasn't. Just like back when, one of the times Lou was on, back in 2021 or so. God, we've been doing this way too long. Lou was on, and there was a video that we played where it showed UFOs in the sky moving around, but it's almost like they were mimicking the behavior of dolphins playing in the surf. Now, this was in the air, and that's when we asked Lou about this. Are these things alive? And he said, absolutely not. These things are alive. They're physical craft. And we came to the point then, why are they mimicking and acting like they're playing around almost like we would see dolphins? He didn't have an answer for that one, but there's proof out there. So some of the stuff from Skywatcher, again, a lot of grandiose claims, some evidence, but it's kind of rough. They need to up their game about 1,000%. Yeah, where's the summonings and landings? That's exactly what I was talking about. Not about the most beautiful people, the men and the women who were in the water of the hot springs and they saw those blue orb come down. Where's the video of that shit? Where's the testimony of the people that are saying it? We're getting, some very filtered information based on it. But don't forget, we got billionaires who are backing it. Why are they backing it? Why are they not giving us all the information they have? Because they want to monetize it and they want to make money off it. That's why. We're on a second layer of the cover-up. First, we had the cover-up from the federal government. We had people out there researching and trying to find it, but now those people have been found by the big money people who realize, wow, if we can figure this stuff out, we can get something there. My God, think how much money we can make from the governments around the world to the largest bidder. So now we've got the VCs who are behind it, who have deeper hooks than I would say even the federal government has.
And for the members of the audience that are not aware of the term VC, what that stands for is venture capitalist.
Thank you.
So there are investors that are looking to capitalize on new technology breakthroughs to sell them to you.
And the one guy who's with Skywatcher is the guy, the leading VC from the SALT conference, which is an investor conference for people.
It is. You're right. Not just scientists, but investors.
Yes, 100%. And Peter Thiel is involved with it as well. Oh, as well as with Planter, who's in with the government, who's creating a new surveillance platform that rivals what China has. But if we can, a lot of stuff to talk about. Andy, before you talk, we'll be talking about this tomorrow. British UFO hearings planned with MPs set to hear from alien whistleblowers coming from the Daily Star. Is that believable, my friend? What say you?
I'll believe it when I see it.
Bingo. There you go, thank you.
What's going on with you guys in America? But while I'm talking, I just wanted to jump back to a comment you made in your last little bit, where you said about these, sightings of these craft where they were like playing like dolphins.
Yeah.
On the water. Do you know what struck me? It resonated.
But they were in the air, but it will look like dolphins playing in the surf. Yeah.
But what happened with the very first sighting, 1947, Kenneth Arnold? He said these things were like they were skipping on, like skipping a saucer across the water.
Like if you were to take a flat stone and throw it, and it goes skip, skip, skip. Yeah.
Yeah. How about what just struck me when you said that? How about they might have looked like dolphins porpoising on the water?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Just struck me as a thought out there for people to think on.
Yeah. Great point, my friend. I love it. Yeah. Thank you. Mike?
Yeah, no, we have a lot to cover as well.
Oh, yeah.
There are other things. Yeah.
Well, we got...
So we can move on to the next speech.
And Alice, your hand is up before we move on.
Yeah, as to seeing so many things around you, what is the technology that they use? Is it infrared to be able to see up and see the all the activity?
It depends on the type of craft and the type of movement they're doing to evade the human eye or our spectrum. For instance, the craft that we have video of that's over Malta, we have craft that are moving between 11 and 14,000 miles per hour, well beyond the human ability to go ahead and see what these craft are doing. However, they're interacting with our military aircraft in the air. If we take the stuff that's been seen flying over Woodinville, Washington, not more than 15 miles from where I'm at, we have craft that are moving at the same speed of commercial airliners coming into land at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, and they're flying a certain distance. You'll see a jetliner like a 737 moving across the air, and not that far behind it, you've got a UAP, which is a chevron shape moving by itself, or a chevron shape moving with a orb in tandem. Those craft are invisible to the eye. They're long wave infrared, but really long wave. Why? Because you can a normal infrared or even a like a night vision camera, you can't see it. You need something that can see if you want to call it. They're used for looking for natural gas leaks, and they can go down to, I believe, negative 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And you need a camera that can go down that low, that long of a wave of infrared. And once you have it, you can see it, but it's still moving along in the sky right behind our airliners. but it's invisible to us and we can't track it, we can't see it unless you have specialty cameras that we've identified we can use. And how much those cameras cost? Used about $12,000. They're not cheap.
So the infrared contacts are coming out. That's not going to have enough technology to be able to
hell
see.
no.
Okay.
Not even close.
That's just for like out in the woods or something, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, something to that extent. It's not going to be enough to go ahead and get down to the if you want to call it, the waveform to where you could actually see it. It's something that's going to be a little bit more, condensed.
Okay, thank you.
Gene, your hand is up, my friend. Great conversation, everybody.
Just to follow up on that, in our research, one of the interesting things that has come up is this idea, and it's actually one we have to get out of our heads, that the craft operate, by our understanding of Newtonian thrust, and that they're pushing their way through the air, or pulling their way through. They're not going through our air, Gene.
These things are creating a gravitational field around them. They're not moving in our air. They are moving through it, and they are wrapping reality around it. So if you take it from going from 65,000 feet down to 50 feet, in a fraction of a second, if they were moving in our air, they would go ahead and burst into a fireball. But these things aren't. That's why they can go so fast. That's why they can turn on a dime.
Yeah, exactly where I was going with it. That it's their they're shifting positions. They're not thrusting. They're not they're not operating in the way we would think they were.
Right. It's not a propulsion-based system.
Right.
It's It's a gravitational warp field that goes on that on the inside of it, especially on the inside of the craft, it's a different dimension of time, because when you enter these things and go into it, you're in there for like 15 minutes and you come out and 4 hours has passed. Or you go in and that's a different dimension of time. And then you go into it and you see, well, on the outside it's 30 feet, but on the inside it's 350 feet inside, if not bigger. That's a different dimension of space. So, and we're always looking out there, but it could be things that are coming from really small that are getting bigger that we're actually dealing with. There's a lot of things that can tie it all together, but it's a wide, wide world of things, possibilities.
It is.
Yeah. All right. One of the last stories I've got here, I've got an interesting video I want to go ahead and bring up if we can. Let's bring it up here. This is coming from Tom Thompson that I follow over on X. A silent disc-shaped object was observed transiting the moon, captured on film by Dachi Fuji of the Hiratsuka City's Museum's Astronomy Department. The footage shows of what appears at first to be a ring-shaped object gliding across the lunar surface. However, closer analysis suggests it actually may be a solid disk, with the moon's reflectivity light illuminating its rim while the center remains dark. This was taken on March 18th, 2024 in Japan. No propulsion signature, no sound, of course, because it's over the moon, no explanation. But it's one of those videos you just kind of take a look at, coming from very reputable scientists, going ahead and showing that, yeah, there's something else out there. Yeah. Just goes to show we're not alone. Let me get back to this here. What else do we've got going on? We'll get to the Boogosphere and stuff tomorrow. All right. We've got, Mike, you remember talking about Wendell Stevens with Rick back in the day?
Yes, I do, actually.
All right, so I've got some pictures here. Let me go ahead and bring these up as well. Desktop, let's get to this. Here are the Wendell Stevens photos from 3 of his albums auctioned off last summer. Since the new owner has not published them, I will do so here. This is from the 3rd album. So here we've got something that looks like good old-fashioned flying saucer. Interesting. This one almost looks like another one of the videos that was captured by someone down in Texas that, God, what is his name again? I'll remember in a bit. We've had him on the channel as a guest in the past. And as soon as the video was found, actually, James Fox went down there immediately to go ahead and meet with the guy. Here's another shot. We've got a shot of the camera taking a picture of the camera, taking a picture of the UFO, and another shot of the potential craft that's there of the saucer, and another one. So, again, really old photos, Mike. This is before the time that we had the ability to go ahead and actually fake this stuff. And here we go. It looks like, wow, we got a 3-in-1 opportunity here. Your thoughts?
Well, the Wendell Stevens estate was recently something that we were talking about as well, because the photo that was put out on X of the premature baby, the infant, that came from the estate of Wendell Stevens as well. So these materials, these files that have been being sold and are circulating out there, you got to take with a grain of salt, as we've established with a lot of the material that's come out.
Yeah, of course.
Like with those photos that Lou had sent out, according to some of the posts on X, was derived from this estate. So some of it is interesting, and some of it is you have to decide for yourself.
Take it with a grain of salt, because you know what's different in these than the old Billy Meyer photos that were out there in the past is that when we saw the Billy Meyer photos, they were always hanging around a tree. Like they were literally hanging out of the tree. Everything that we're seeing here from and we got multiple photos of the same thing going on, which is interesting. None of this stuff is could be hanging from a tree. It actually looks like some really interesting photos.
Yeah, some of it. Yep. And this is before AI. So
well before AI. Oh God, his name is Mario. God, I can't remember his last name. I'll look him up again. We'll see if we can get him on again to go ahead and talk about his case, because it's a phenomenal case. He came home, he saw something, went out and got his VHS camera out, and he got some amazing UFO footage of a UFO hanging out almost right over his house during the daytime.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be interesting.
Oh God, yeah. Andy, your hand is up.
Was it Mario Woods?
No.
No. Right.
This guy's got a Spanish-Mexican last name. Mauricio was his first name.
Okay.
All right, let me go ahead and see if I can find him on YouTube really quick. Give me a second here. This has got me puzzled. Let me go to here, wrong Google account. Let me get to here, because I think I subscribed to his channel a long time ago. No, not that one. Let's go to me at home. Let's go to here. Mauricio Lopez, YouTube.
I don't think he's posted anything in a while. It's been quiet.
Mauricio Ruiz is the guy's name. Yeah, Mauricio Ruiz. Let me see if I can get... Okay, this is a video of his a long time ago. This is a VHS videotape. We've got him talking in the backyard. Let me download this and see it. Let's just see if this is similar to the craft we have up here right now. Come on, download the movie. It's only 6 minutes long. Okay, open an external application. Thank you very much. Low resolution. It's VHS back in the day. Let's see if I can get to... Here's the craft he had caught on April 11th, 2008. And what I saw was the shape at the top, but the thing that he actually had at the bottom of the craft where it was kind of sticking out a bit. And that reminded me of, get that to there, of some of the craft I'm seeing here. We're seeing that similar craft. Now, granted, these are on different perspectives, but even though if it's on different perspectives, it's still a similar morphology of this one that we've got here compared to the ones that we've got here. Can you see the similarity?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the one thing you always want to look for. You want to look for, is this similar to something we've seen before? And if it isn't, it's likely it's a fake, because these things have been around here for so long. You need to go ahead and look at and see what else is out there that's, that looks similar to this. That's a photo album. Let's see if I can go back. And there's another one. For me, this one here is very similar to that one right there. Granted, this one's more from the bottom looking up, but it still has that part of it that's hanging down at the bottom. Let's see what else is in this clip. Yeah, actually, we're going to get a close-up a little bit better. Again, 2008 VHS camera. It's not the greatest, but the similarity between it is remarkable. At least my brain works. I remembered his name, Mike. I feel...
Yeah. No, that was good.
I don't feel too old.
No, you're not old at all. That's fine.
Oh, yeah. Tell my brain that sometimes. That's why we take Adderall. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So amazing clips on that. And let's see if there's anything else. We've got that there. Some of that there. Portland call to action. All right. I want to go ahead and find this. I want to show the video of that green fog coming out.
Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, this is some cool shit. Let me get to, I think I've got it at the top with one of the latest things.
Well,
all right, here we go.
While you're doing that, I just sent you a DM. Take a quick look at it, and we can cover that if you want before we close out.
Oh, yeah. I want to show the green fog of what there have been a bunch of, if you want to call it, interactions going between our federal government. It should be in here somewhere. I know I sent that to you, Mike. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on a second. I know I sent it to Mike as well. Let me get across to this window here. Let me get across to X. Bring it up. Let me get back to this here so we're not moving it. Let me get to this one because I know I sent Mike. I sent you this one last night. You're going to send me that one. You got to love X these days. The performance is so wonderful.
Yeah, it just drags.
Oh, it does. Andy, absolutely. Right? All right, they got that. Okay. Here we go. I want to copy this video address, download this one really quick. Remember the old Batman movies with, what do you call it, the Riddler?
Yeah.
Or the Joker and different stuff, and they would go ahead and they would put out like a fog to go ahead and confuse Batman when they were going through stuff.
Yeah.
So let me bring this clip up. This is just something we had seen the other day. I've been talking about Mike. This is something I want to get in and go ahead and covering because it's a freaking amazing footage. Here we go. Let's go ahead and play this clip of this is an attack going on by Antifa. It's an insurrection going on Antifa against our federal government in Portland, Oregon. And look at this green fog they're putting out. And when they put out this green fog, frickin' it stuns people. People see what's going on, and all of a sudden military people come out of it, charging out of it, and people don't realize what's happening. I mean, if you ask me, this reminds me of an old Batman movie.
Right, but it's also a modern version of tear gas that burns the skin on contact, eyes, throat, lungs, and it's made to disperse civilians without killing them.
Now Now Katie Daviscourt has seen this deployed by DHS agents in both Seattle and Portland, and they're believing it's military grade stuff that they've actually started using.
It is. You could tell by the green color.
Yeah.
Because regular tear gas is a white color.
Right.
This is a modified version of it. It's
yeah. It just has a different look and feel of something that I've never seen before, and that's why I just wanted to play this clip of our audience, because it just shows a new tactic and different things going on when you're having a bunch of anarchists going ahead and attacking federal buildings. We're not stopping, and they've got new tricks up their sleeve to stop this stuff from happening.
And to inform the audience so they know what's going on and what they're looking at, this was something that the mainstream media had stopped covering. When it first started, the ICE riots, they were covering it all day long, but that died down. But this is still actively going on as of today. And this is still going on in Seattle, Washington.
This is in Portland, actually, my friend.
Oh, Portland. Well, it's also going on in Washington, which is where Antifa is operating out of. So
Yeah, primarily right now they're doing the riots out of Portland, not so much in Seattle, but it's an interesting sight to say the least.
well, with the activity that's currently going on, that's not being covered anymore by mainstream
No,
media.
they're not covering this at all, are they?
No, they are not. And we are, and we wanted to inform the audience that this is actively going on every day, and it's something that's current, and we're probably going to be covering more of this as it continues here on the show.
I'd love to get Katie on here as well as Andy to go ahead and talk about their coverage on this, because there's a new thing called Trantifa, where there's trans people in Antifa, and man, they are violent more than even Antifa is.
And just when you think it couldn't get any worse.
Yeah, when we could be just talking about UFOs, we got all this interesting things going on down on our planet right now. But it's interesting to say the least, and it's something not being covered in the lamestream media, but we're going to cover it because, hey, it's close to me, and this is actually closer to you, Tim. Anonymous Rex. Scary stuff. So you would
really is.
Yeah, no, Mike, you had sent me something over on X a second ago, and I lost it. I had it there. Here we go. What is Mike bringing up? All right. So this deals with RFK Jr., right?
Well, it says the White House. But
The
I would
White
assume,
House,
yes,
well, that would be RFK Jr., is looking to take the mRNA experiment that a bunch of people got around the world, take it off the market because it's not necessarily that safe.
Right. It's been proven to be deadly because of the experimental nature. And now they are moving to permanently remove it off the market here in the U.S.
Thank God. It killed my mom.
Yeah, yes.
She got it, and within a day and a half, 2 days, she couldn't talk, she couldn't walk, and then she had issues with her heart. She had heart valves going ahead and failing, and she had to go through all these different surgeries, and the last 7 months of her life were pure fucking hell.
So now it's finally about time that they're going to do something about it.
Yeah.
Too little, too late, if you ask me. But
Yeah. Thank God I never got it. I got it
There's
early. I
something
got
that's better
COVID
than
early,
nothing.
like in end of February, beginning March of 2020. And then from there, my immune system was freaking destroyed. It took me 4+ years to get off the meds. I was on chemo and everything else to try and deal with it because they didn't know how to stop it. But then again, I've got an amazing immune system that got fucked up when I was 5 years old. So I'm special. Although I didn't qualify for the special ed bus.
I remember when you were still on the prednisone, trying to come off of it.
Yeah, and I kept on running into issues where I'd have to jack it back up again. And I was going down like a 0.5 milligram at a time over you had to really wean off it. It was horrible. Absolutely. It put a lot of weight on it. Still haven't gotten rid of it. It's destroyed part of my body. And, it's just... Thank God they've realized how dangerous this stuff is, and that actually our audience actually appreciates what they're talking. We have, we're at 346 viewers, and they've appreciated you bringing up the story, Mike.
Oh, I thought it was something that the audience needed to know.
Yeah.
It affects all of us, and I think it's a step in the right direction. So I'm glad we were able to cover it at the end of the show.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, absolutely. Looking back, yeah, prednisone is absolutely horrible. Who just said that in the audience? Someone just said that. Yeah, Lynn 60. Short term, it can do things. Long term, it couldn't. And yes, I'm sorry to hear April R. Coleman. It killed your cousin. It killed my mom, and it killed other people that are close to our friends here at Disclosure tonight.
Yes.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
It hit very close to home.
Oh,
it was a mistake. It was something that was wrong. And eventually, I'd like to think that they'll prosecute some of the people that were responsible for this,
Yeah.
including the politicians.
Yeah. Cosmic disclosure brings up a good thing. Thomas was lit a few times on here from it, yes. And here's the thing: I was lit on. Into the show, I'd have alarm go off. That was 8 o'clock at night because we used to start at 7. An hour into the show, I'd have to take the prednisone, and then I was just freaking Looney Tunes. And then I had other people like Robin and all these different people saying all these horrible things about me. The biggest thing is, why the fuck didn't they ever say to things and say, "Hey, Thomas, after you take that prednisone on the show, you lose it"? But nobody said anything. It was horrible. The interactions add up, to say the least. All right, let's go back. Mike, is there anything we haven't covered here yet today? Because we got tomorrow's show to consider.
We do. I think we covered just about everything that we intended on covering for tonight's show, and then some.
Oh, yeah.
With some extra added bonuses.
And I think the audience actually liked the other things we were covering here. So you're going to see more of it here, friends, because you know what? If disclosure isn't happening, we've got other things to cover that are going in this world that we're going to continue to cover and bring out, because you know what? We're about disclosure and bringing out the truth, no matter where it comes from.
No matter what the topic or subject, and it isn't just UAPs or NHI, it could be, like we were just talking about, the vaccines, mRNA. Could be things that
we had a special show when the United States went and had our one attack against Iran.
Yes, we did. So we are following the news outlet and covering whatever subject affects the public and us.
So if you see some title cards pop up sometimes for some major breaking news stories, stop by, say hi, and enjoy it, because we're here for the long term, my friend.
Because we're here doing it for you, not for us. We have access to this information privately 24/7. So if we're here for you.
Yes. Absolutely, my friend. And if I can, let me go ahead and bring this up. Where is it? I want to go ahead and play the song. All right, we got a bunch of super chats from our audience tonight. Thank you very much, everybody, for your wonderful love and support. Remember, this is a fan-funded program, and if you can go ahead and share some love, we greatly appreciate it, my friends. Let me go ahead and take a look and bring up the board of everyone who's throwing the super chats. Let's say, take a look. We got Brian Pemble. We've got Kay Northrup. We've got Jared Rosenthal. Vern Dude, Mr. Grimlock, we got Sam, we got Eric Roth and the Gurus, Mr. Catfish 2100 once, Mr. Catfish 2100 twice, Mr. Catfish 2100 3 times. Thank you very much, my friend. Also, Brennan England, appreciate it, and Vern Dude for your latest super chat. Thank you very much. We love your support for what we do here. Thank you very much. Daryl Zernick, thank you very much for your support at the end of the program. Thank you, sir. I guess, Mike, I want to thank you for coming out. Thanks to everyone in the back. Thank you to the overall audience. Mike, any last words?
Yeah. Join us again tomorrow for tomorrow's show, and we'll have a good conversation. And I also want to thank our good friend Gene for joining us again tonight on the show.
Seems like he's become a regular here. Thanks for coming out, Gene.
Hey, this is fantastic. I learned so much. I'm glad I can contribute, but mainly it's what I'm learning from you guys and everybody back here and in the audience. It's phenomenal, and I really enjoy it. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. And back to the audience, we want to say thank you for coming out and enjoying this program. And as I usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everybody. But more importantly,
go back to Party City where you belong.
Absolutely. We'll catch you on the flip side. Good night. We'll see you all tomorrow, 2 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. London Standard Time. Good night, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.